Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game and we are returning to Let's Play War on the West. So let's revisit what happened last time and what we're going to do this time around. So we have encircled a couple of Germans down here in Italy. That is pretty much the entire Hamburger Panzer Division and a little bit of the Fallschirmjäger Division. Let's see whether we can squeeze them out of there, so that's going to be nice. We've also made some great advances here into the Rhone Valley up until Lyon. The 6th South African Armored Division has pushed up very strongly over here. I'm a little bit concerned that that might be just strung out a little bit, so we certainly cannot get any supplies there, and we are a little bit open to counter-attack, so I want to see whether the Germans are going to do anything. In the area they only have this mountain division, but I'm hoping that they will not be able to cut them off entirely. And they don't really have any fast mobile division around, so let's see. I'm hoping that we're going to keep a good line here, but I don't know. In the meanwhile, we've also encircled some Germans down here in the city of Avignon, and of course in the port of Marseille. Well, we've also cleared out the port of Toulon, so that is kind of nice. And of course, here are our landings. In between episodes, I did move up quite a number of units into these beaches over here. We've pretty much got the entire 8th British Corps now on shore, so that's all of these British tanks. They're now all here. We've pretty much got the entire 1st US Army down here, except for the Army headquarters itself, but pretty much everyone else is down there. Oh, one further division is down up here. So everyone else, though, is over here, so that's kind of fantastic. We've also got some Canadian tanks. And you know what? We do have so many German tanks over here, and I'm very concerned about these. Let's assign the 6th Canadian Anti-Tank Regiment towards this infantry unit over here. What have you guys actually got? 17-pounder anti-tank guns. Very lovely indeed. So yeah, hopefully these guys are going to stop any German incursions against that area over here. Hoping that that will be enough. I've tried to not overload the beaches completely, but let's see. Also, since you did notice that, let us actually build some mulberries over here on these ports to ensure that we are getting enough supplies into this little area down here. Yeah, but other than that, we are going to hand it over towards the Germans. Only small note that I want to make is, last time around, I didn't really see that until I looked at it in between episodes. We did get this infantry regiment here, the 442nd Nisai. And these guys are kind of interesting because they are actually Japanese Americans. So Americans with Japanese ancestry. And they are, of course, not fighting really the Japanese, interestingly enough. But maybe to prevent any conflict of interest, they were being used in Italy. I didn't know that. Been very interesting to read up on that. But without further ado, let's see what the Germans are going to do, because I'm very concerned about this, and I'm very concerned about being pushed back into the sea. We don't know what is going to happen, but I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued. I don't know. So let's see. What I do expect is that they're going to try to break out of this pocket over here. They usually tend to do that, even though sometimes it's just not very effective in doing that. But let's see. Okay, losses are piling up already, so you can see the Germans on their turn are actually sending out massive amounts of fighters, I think, into the air to try to contest us. But at this point, they're really starting to take very serious losses about that. That's like 20-to-1, well, 10-to-1 ratio here on air combat losses. So that's very, very nice to see. Good. That's good. Okay, so far I'm not too concerned, but they have very strong forces, and you can see just overall they have, even in Belgium, they've still got a plenty amount of force, and even down here in France. So here is the first combat. It's a little bit hard to see, but I think it's exactly this Canadian infantry division that has just been, where we just assigned the anti-tank regiment to, that is being attacked over here. And it seems like it was very wise that we did that, because the 21st Panzer Division is attacking over here, along with some Fallschirmjägers, some further Panzer divisions. So all being told, 40,000 men are taking out 20,000 men. They are taking some casualties. We are, interestingly enough, taking more casualties. But at the very least, we are killing some tanks here. So that's good to see. 1.8 to 1. So we are barely holding out, actually, over here. That's a little bit concerning, I have to say. And I'm not sure whether they're going to do a follow-up attack. They are, but again we are holding out, so that is good to see. And I think actually, honestly, these anti-tank guns here might have saved the day, because just look at how much support they are getting. And the 21st Panzer Division here has lost 34 tanks. We've lost 6 guns, but I think their tanks will be much harder for them to replace. Some attacks down here in Italy, so I think that is down over here. They are trying to break out with the Hammer Göring Panzer Division, but they're going to have a tough time doing that, I hope. Yes, indeed, that is very, very tough, because these guys have been encircled. They don't really have the fuel to go on, so I think that's alright. Some attack around Avignon here. Again, pretty pointless, I think. But for the first time, actually, this Panzer Division is also trying to break out there. I think for the last times we did only see the Infantry Division trying to do any attack down there. Right, that being said, as far as I can tell, they haven't really broken into this gap over here. They might have withdrawn the Mountain Division that was based here in Grenoble, but I'm not entirely sure whether they actually did. It's also going to be interesting to see whether they're going to reform any line down here in southern France. I mean, they're putting up a stiff resistance in Italy, but in France, so far, not so much. So that is interesting. Bit hard to see, but I think the weather is not great over northern Europe. So hopefully, actually, all of these mulberries that we've just built do continue to hold. I'm not entirely sure about that, actually. So let's see about that. Right. At least we have maintained this position. We have pretty much maintained everything so far. We did take some casualties, of course, but all in all, it seems to be alright. Yeah, these guys here are definitely in trouble, although the Germans have pulled forward again the 12th SS Panzer Division, and these guys are back in force. They have at least 100 tanks over here, plus a little bit of support equipment, Jagdpanzer IVs, Hummels, Möbelwagen. Yeah, they're back here in force, so it's looking more and more like we'll have a tough time to break through over here. And I think the objective of Vienna is moving a little bit away from what we can reasonably hope to achieve. Also interesting to note that they are putting a Panzergrenadier division over here. We need to be careful that they don't break through into Lombardy. It's not crucial, we don't have that much stuff over here, but I won't prevent them from having a too easy time over here. Right, so ultimately we might think about pulling away some forces from over here, because we're definitely having an easier time down here in the Rhone Valley and in southern France. And we're capturing some weird territory over here. I'm not really sure why all of that is being liberated. Certainly not been any unit of us, but still interesting to see. Germans are still occupying some of these cities, and they are forming. This is the first indication that they are forming some sort of defensive line over here with the 276 Infantry Division and some remnants of various other things, including a Lair Regiment. Lair Regiments tend to be quite effective, actually. Yeah, but they definitely did evacuate from Grenoble, so that's interesting, because that will make it easier for us to build a line towards Lyon. And I think, yeah, the attack on Marseille is going to be a tough one. They do have a lot of fortifications. They are very strong down here. They are considered isolated, so that's good. But I think we do need to take it, otherwise we have no chance of... maybe we could sort of build a rail network around that just from Lyon. But certainly Avignon we need to take, so yeah, that's gonna be a heavy focus. Don't think we need any of this area here in southwestern France, so I think that's alright. But yeah, let's also look at the situation over here. So you guys did take quite a bit of a beating, but I'm extremely happy about these guys. So your elements, yeah, you did take quite a bit of damage, but I think you did very well over there. Let's actually have a look at what tanks we did take out, if any. So, well, we do know that we did take out some losses. So, ground losses, axis losses. You guys had a couple of your tanks destroyed, and that is a good amount of tanks that is being lost here to them. So, Panther Ds, Panther Gs, that's nice to see. Panzer IVs, that's not really that important. Panzer IIIs, not that important either. But yeah, just the losses in Panthers... That's very nice to see. Unfortunately, no loss in Tigers, although some disrupted or things like that, so that's lovely to see. And in the second battle over here, we can see 15 Panthers are being lost. Nice. That is very nice indeed. I don't think we can see what exactly did destroy them, can we? just overall hits. Yeah, it's probably the 17. Yeah, well, they did score a lot of hits here just from the 17-pounders. Some 6-pounders as well, but I do think the 17-pounders must probably have done the most damage here. So, that is alright. Weather actually seems to be okay over Northern Europe, so that's good. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what we're going to do exactly and set up the air things correspondingly. And then you guys can join me just after that. See you in a second. And here we are back again. So, let's look at the air setup. Now, I think the most important element that will actually be down here in the Provence region of France. So, I think it's going to be essential to capture the city of Marseille, of course. So, pretty much, let's try to do that. And as you can see, they don't really have a lot of flak here, only 8 flak pieces. So, we're going to do a heavy air attack on Marseille, as I think was actually done historically, just to try to capture that port, soften it up a little bit. I was thinking about also attacking into Avignon with our air groups, but I don't think we're going to do that. So, as you can see down here, pretty much our operations down here are still direct support by fighter bombers, and then 2H bombers that are going to come in and attack these guys. 600 bombers, let's see whether that is going to be enough. We also do some naval patrols just to cut them off from any resupply, although I don't think there's any to be had down there. So, that is pretty much the focus area down here. Now, it is going to be a little bit more complicated on this part of the front line. So, what is happening here is actually that we are using our single-engine fighter bombers here just to disrupt their ability to resupply themselves a little bit up here. And again, some direct ground support here for... What are you actually supporting? You're supporting 5th Army. You know what? Could I actually ask you guys to support... I think 7th Army is a little bit more important, right? Yeah, 7th Army... No, never mind. 5th Army, that's the green guys. That is who, indeed, we should support. Because... Let's look at the thing here without that overlay. So, we definitely want to reduce these 2 divisions down here. Now, I think they are pretty weak anyway. At least that is what the game is telling us. So, I don't think we need too much support down here. And we actually need to think a little bit about what we do want to achieve here strategically. Now, given the concentration of German forces and given the terrain, I have very strong doubts whether we are going to be able to push through without too much effort into Austria at all. It's just too far. I don't think that is going to be viable. Now, what I do want is I want to at least capture these airfields here in this vicinity. So if we do get rid of the units, you can see there's still a couple of airfields under enemy control. We do actually control quite a lot of them. So if we can just expand our footprint here just a little bit, so that we have this area and ideally the port of Trieste, which is a level 6 port. Although I do think Venice should be relatively fine just to supply that area. But that would make this a nice staging ground for the 15th Air Force to fly pretty much everywhere. So I think that's going to be, let's say, the most immediate objective, and also to attrition the German forces a little bit. So given that, pretty much we will potentially try to push here a little bit, there a little bit, just in sort of the weak spots of the German line. But other than that, I do not see any ability for us to push through, to push forward by a lot. The only exception to that is potentially over here in Trento. And that is because this is a German supply depot. I think there must be a railhead over there, so just pushing them back there a little bit would make it a lot easier for us. It would also prevent these guys here from getting too many supplies if they do indeed want to move up. So I think that would be a very nice way to prevent the Germans from flanking us. And at the same time just exerting a little bit of pressure on them, and maybe there will be some opportunities where we could push further down the Brenner Pass over here. So that's pretty much the reasoning here for our ground strikes as we've set them up. We are continuing to use the 15th Air Force to disrupt the rail supply pretty much in this vicinity of the Alpine region. So let's hope that that does work out. And then we've got a new mission up here by the 18th Air Force. And that is because it is now June 1944, and as you remember, our main priority are the oil targets. And we haven't really targeted any Axis air industry. So we've pretty much let them build aircraft as they pleased, and try to disrupt this fuel supply to these same aircraft, in the hope that ultimately we can still outproduce them, outtrain them, and most importantly, that these guys cannot take off. Now, there's one exception which I want to make. And that one exception is an important one. And that is if we do look at the city overlay here, if we do look at the city of Arlen, you can see now they are starting to produce the Me-262. That is the first jet plane that entered combat operationally, at least on the Axis side. And that is a target that I do think we want to take on. Because if they are producing too many of these, that will definitely increase our losses. So we're going to bump Arlen. We're going to bomb some of these other areas that are producing that. Unfortunately, they are kind of dispersed. They are producing that also in Ulm, as you can see. And they are producing that in Ingolstadt, I want to say. Yes. And they are producing that in Regensburg. Now, 3 of these 4 targets we can target here. We are targeting Ulm, Arlen, Ingolstadt. But Regensburg we are not targeting. Because, as you can see, there's a lot of aircraft industry in Regensburg. Mostly Bf-109s. So the Messerschmitt yards over here. We don't really want to take these guys on. So that would just disperse our target load way too much. So we're actually going to focus on this region here. Now, just due to the way that the targeting system works, it's a little bit unfortunate because we're also going to target Augsburg, which does have a lot of Me-410 factories, and actually also Stuttgart, which does produce the Me-163. This is the sort of cute little funny rocket interceptor, which really is not a big target, a big threat for us. But you know what? It does fall in the region, so let's do it. And since we are here, we're also going to target some of these truck factories. But that's not going to be it for the 18th Air Force. Bomber Command is going to look at something else. Bomber Command is going to look at the area here, a little bit north of the Ruhr Valley, sort of in the Lippe region. Just south of Münster. Pretty much the city of Bur here is our main target, and its synthetic fuel production, which still is damaged at around 30%, but we do want to push that damage over 50% so that we're sure that they're not actually going to produce anything. We're also going to strike Castrop-Rauxel and Bottrop, and pretty much devastate this region. It's a very localized attack here, but I think it's going to work out fine. We are going to run some air superiority missions here just to bait the Luftwaffe and get them to fight. Pretty much the same over here. We've got our night fighters doing some interceptions here. Some air superiority by number 13 air group. These are not the most important ones. We're also going to target the channel over here. You know what? We can actually set that back a little bit, I think. Just so that we're getting all our troops in very safely over here. Going to prevent any U-boat from sneaking in or any E-boat or anything like that. That's going to be the easy bit. Now, down here, the ground attacks, they are a little bit more complicated, I should say. And that is, we're going to try to attack this area here behind the city of Le Havre, so that they can't source supply there very easily. And then we're going to strike this area over here. Now, I would really love to take on some of these German forces and maybe try to encircle them. And there are some weak chins in their armor, if you forgive the pun, that we could strike at. For example, this hex over here. This is just a security regiment, an infantry division, and a Luftwaffe field division. These guys are pretty weak, actually, so it would be tempting to try to strike here and potentially get some encirclement somewhere, but just the way that the line is set up, I don't think that is going to be viable at all this term. We could try to push them back, we could try to push these guys back, but really getting sort of a pincer movement here, I think it's not going to be viable. Also, our troops are just too bunched up. They don't really have the tactical flexibility. There are too many zones of control and everything floating around. So I do not think that is going to be viable. So for now, we're going to try to weaken them a little bit. We're going to try to push them out a little bit, gain some breathing room here for our reserves to build up. But not really going to do any encirclement here. We are, however, going to attack the city of Le Havre because that is a very important objective for us. That is a level 5 port. Now, why are we not going to do any air attacks? You can see there's no air attack that is currently aimed at the city of Le Havre. So, why is that then? That is because, just remember what's a normal setup here for anti-air guns. So we've got 5 flags over here, 8 light flags. That's sort of the normal setup. Now, as we go to the city of Le Havre, you can see they have got a lot a lot of light flak here. They've got 400 light flak artillery pieces and 76 heavy flak artillery pieces. In addition to that, I think they will have some balloons flying over the port, so that is just not going to be a good target for us. So I do not want to strike these guys here with any airplanes whatsoever. That being said, let's execute our air directives, see how well or not this is going to go. Oh, we are going to get more information here than I think we want. And let's actually go down to slightly lower things because there are just way too many missions flown here. But as you can see, they're actually striking these guys here kind of nicely. It would be very lovely to reduce their strength there a little bit. Kind of heavy losses, I have to say. But no, that just went up with the air combat there. That's nice to see. Right, but I do think these strikes over the rural area, they tend to be very, very difficult on Bomber Command. These guys tend to be suffering quite a lot from that. So let's see about that. As usual, we are taking a lot of operational losses, especially on day 6 and 7. It would be tempting to run our bombers on a slightly reduced schedule, but I don't think so. We do need to bring down the German industry and do so very, very convincingly and very long term. 150 planes lost on our side. I think that's fantastic. Pretty much the only one I think we want to check is the 8th Air Force, whether or not you did destroy what I asked you to destroy. Yeah, so that's a nice 50% damage here on the Me-163, and just during that process we did shoot down 60 German fighters, so that's lovely too. More damage down here in... no, sorry, that's the 163. I'm interested in the 262. So these are the jet fighters, these are the rocket interceptors. Now 30%, that is not quite as good in Arlen. We also have Ingolstadt 45. Now that's more like it. And then again, Arlen 26. Okay, that is enough. Ingolstadt again. And how about Regensburg? Do we know? Regensburg, Ingolstadt, Arlen. What's the last one? One we did miss. I don't know which one. Well, at least you do seem to have taken not too much damage, and you did shoot down 100 German pilots. That is very, very lovely indeed. Bomber Command again, struggling a little bit, but not quite as bad as they used to. So that too is very nice to see. And yeah, you did indeed at least strike the synthetic fuel-free refinery, yeah. Actually, you were that's a very good result for Bomber Command. All things considering. Good. Let's look at the ground war then. So, I think we're going to start down here in Marseille, because that is, to me, the #1 priority right now. It does enable us to get a lot of supply in if and when we do need it. So, right now, how many troops have we got? We would be facing attack odds of 178 against 25. Now, that is very nice, isn't it? So, nevertheless, let's try to move you guys up, because otherwise you can't really move up anyway. You can't really do... You cannot really support any of that. So, I think that's going to be alright. At least you guys here can potentially move in and support you guys. So, that should be alright. No one else over here. You guys are the Special Service Brigade. It would be actually tempting to try to use you on the attack of this city itself, because again, just like Special Services, that does sound like a very good idea to try to attack with. Right. Okay, you know what? I think this is enough forces. Let's at least try to do that. Can I maybe get rid of the Indians over here? No, you know what? Let's try to strike that. It's just a very important target, so here we go. And we are capturing that, so that's good. 7.7. It's not as... I mean, it's a good ratio, but still, we are losing 500 men here against these 10,000 Germans. But level 4 fortifications, that was a very drastic step that we did need to take down here. But I'm happy it did work out for us. Now, can I move you up now? Well, I can move you up a little bit, but not nearly enough. Right, okay. How about you guys? Can you get here? Well, that's at least... You can get there, so that's lovely. Well, but we do need a little bit more points to do a deliberate attack over there, so... Slightly unfortunate. Right, there's no one who has sufficient movement points down here. Okay, let's get you to the front line there. How about these Canadians? Well, I think the Canadians can't get there either. No, pretty much no. You can get over here. Maybe that's going to be enough. I don't know. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate because a lot of these guys here are tanks and the like, so they're not necessarily ideal to try to take on the enemy there. Now, the 1st British Corps, that's fine. Okay, but you guys can attack here with 6 movement points, so let's try to get you guys on this side too, just so that you don't have to cross the river. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attack here with everyone. Oh, we can't. No, we can. Some people can at least. Ooh, but look at these casualties. Yeah, this time that really did not work out in our favour. But here's the important thing. We did reduce their fortifications to level 1. So that already is a very good step over here. But 27 tanks lost and 1,700 men. That's not great. The question is, do we push forward still? Do we push that attack further on? Or do we simply advance everyone over here and get ready to attack next turn? Now, we don't need to clear these guys out this turn. They are locking up a lot of our units just to do that, but in terms of our supply situation down here, there's no way we're going to repair any of that this turn anyway. So I think it's just as well that we do simply get ourselves Marseille linked up, and that's going to be nice. And what, of course, we do need to do in Marseille is repair the port. Yeah, that did take a lot of damage. And honestly, the rail yard is pretty important too. And of course, I do want to set that up to be priority 4, which is the highest priority. Good, okay, that should allow us to channel up some supply already, and it's going to be better as time goes on. So, that does leave the question, do we attack again? Can we get... Okay, you guys can get over here. That's lovely. That does mean you guys can get over here on this side of the river, which is fantastic. Good. I think what we're going to do is we're at least going to move up our armored forces here, simply so that we can make sure to sort of link everything up over here. You guys can move forward so far. I'm really afraid of being left cut off over here in some capacity. Now this Geneva is of course Switzerland. You guys could get nearly to Geneva. You could potentially capture that hex there too, right? Okay, let's grab that simply because I think that will flip all of this territory here to our side unless I'm mistaken. So that should be okay. You guys could try to get into contact there. Wouldn't be the worst idea. We do need to capture some terrain here, simply so that we can continue to build the rail line here through these mountains. Even though that's a very slow process. But that's alright. Yeah, move up all of our tanks. You guys can occupy Lyon, that's okay then. And you guys do try to maintain cohesion over here. It's nice that we are capturing so many depots over here. Let's try to continue doing that. It's a little bit of a weak defensive line from our point of view, but I think it's going to be alright. There are some gaps and all of that, but I think over time it should be more than okay. Right. You could advance really far. How about capturing this rail link here? Okay, let's do that. Yeah, just expand our footprint there in the Rhone Valley. Do we need to capture any of these rail lines? I don't think so. I think we're going to run along the river here. At least we do need to capture these things over here. So, yeah, I think going here is going to be alright. And then maybe there. So that should look pretty well. Good. Okay, fantastic. Another tank unit over here. Move you up as far as possible. Great. Some mountain troops. Good. Yeah, but that's pretty much all of the infantry that we've got down here. Now, can you guys move up anywhere? Well, just sort of. There's okay. I suppose you guys go there. That's alright. You guys just have a couple of hexes to move up to. Right, and you guys... You could potentially get here. So let's move back the headquarter unit. That's alright. We've also got the New Zealanders over here, which are motorized, so they can move up quite a distance. So we are going to use that. Right, simply so that that line over there is not looking quite as silly. Right, let's do move up the headquarter towards the New Zealanders. I think that's fine. Good. Move up some infantry. Just so that we have some forces. Yeah, and I think that does pretty much mean that we're not going to attack this turn, but we can attack next turn again in force and just get rid of these guys. Yeah, that's fine. Some mountain troops over here. Yeah, you can try to capture Grenoble. Although I do think that should fall to us anyway, now that we have cut them off. Although I don't know whether Lake Geneva does count. We'll see. We'll see. It's alright. Good. Okay, so that does more or less settle this down here. I'm probably going to look in between episodes whether there's going to be any other unit that is going to be moved up. Some of the units that will be moved up is this. This is brilliant, isn't it? This is the first free... No, sorry, these guys are the first Free French army. So now we've got another army that is going to be used for, of course, the liberation of France here from the south. That's actually a very significant chunk of France that we have liberated down there. So we are almost half the way to Paris, actually, from Marseille. Of course, that's the easier way. The harder way will going to be the next half there. Right, let's jump into Italy over here. And I think the first thing that we're going to try to do is disrupt these Fallschirmjägers. From this side, or do we want to advance from this side first? Well, you know what? Let's simply attack with all of these guys. I think that's more than fine. Deliberate attack over here. They are trying to defend. A couple of them are surrendering, 4,000. The rest is retreating. That's alright. Now we can advance into that hex. Let's take the Poles, why not? Do we want to take the Polish Armoured Brigade? I don't think so. Let's instead use this infantry division here. And then you guys can do another deliberate attack here, which hopefully should be enough to convince them to surrender all in all. That's 70 tanks, more than 100 guns, 10,000 Germans. Lovely, I like it. Good. Now, let's see where else we can or should be pushing up. Right, do we have any infantry? We've got these guys down here. Well, we could move you up over here, and then we can sort of bunny hop along the line. Alright, let's get you over here. Don't need to do too many things at the same time. Let's... Well, I would like to take these guys out over there. Okay, let's take the Polish Armoured Brigade. Send it forward over here, and then you three can attack these guys. Ooh, this is going to be a tough fight. But we did get them to retreat. Yeah, I think a lot of our guys were simply disrupted. So nothing too bad, but still. Okay, you could advance to here. Can you advance into that gap now? No, you can't. You? Yeah, you can. Good. Okay, let's try to do that. Good. I like it. Right, you get over there. That's alright. And that's pretty much all of our reserves. These guys were all used to clear out this terrain down there. That's slightly awkward. Now, we do need to occupy that hex over here because I don't want to be kicked out of it right away. Yeah, everyone else here is fine though. Right, let's try to take on these guys with a deliberate attack from these two tank formations. That should be more than enough to comfortably kick them back. Get that hex so that we are pushing just out a little bit. That should be alright. You guys are fine. You have got a good ray line over here. Now, I think I want to link up Udine with these guys. And then let's get down here, because ultimately at some point we might be lucky enough to get Trieste. But I don't want to be in that hex there just in case they are going to strike that. Could you actually move forward further? Yeah, you could. Now that would expose us a little bit to counterattack if I just moved the special forces in here. I don't think the special forces do. Yeah, especially in clear terrain. Is there any use in trying to advance here? It would disrupt them, but is that a good enough reason? No, I don't think so. You guys can advance there. That's alright. That's a nice setup down here. Good, and that does open up the question about what to do over here. Now, we definitively can advance there. Just shorten the line a little bit. And let's do a deliberate attack here. They're surrendering, that's a good indication. So, yeah, 2,000 Germans gone. And we've got the city of Trieste. Oh, Trento. Sorry. Good. Okay, I like it. Nice. Do we attack these Fallschirmjägers in rough terrain? Is there any point in attacking these Fallschirmjägers? Well, the point would be to potentially shorten our line here by 1 hex if ultimately we can push these guys back as well. So let's try to do that. Yeah, comfortably so. 45 men lost on our side. That's good enough. Yeah, good. Okay, and these guys, I think they'll probably pull back on their own, but I think that's all right. Good. We've got a single infantry division over here that we could commit. I'm slightly tempted to do that simply because this mechanized force here is sort of bugging me out. They don't really have that much infantry actually. They do have some guns. Not that many. I do think we can potentially punish them just for being here. Okay, let's take these two guys. Let's do a hasty attack here. Enough to retreat them. Not really enough to do a lot of damage. But still, I think it's fine. You guys could even advance a little bit further. It's a little bit unhinged, but I think it's alright. Good, I like it. You guys are directly commanded by that army. Weird, but okay. Yeah, okay. I think that does settle it for this area down here. We could do some further attacks, but really I don't see the point in... Well, speaking of... Well, we don't have the forces to keep that ground, though. So really, I really don't think it's going to be viable to push into here at all. So that's going to be alright. Let's look at the situation in Picardy, though. So, you guys are appearing really weak at this point. That's interesting. But yeah, I think the most important aspect is going to be here. Let's get you off the ships just in case you can support. And then what we're going to do is we're simply going to do another deliberate attack over here. It's a lot of flak. It's a lot of flak. It's heavy fortification, but we can't help it. We must try to be... And they are holding. They're actually stronger than we are. And we're losing so many men here. And they did not even suffer any reduction in their fortification level. That's such a shame. That's such a shame. Did we actually contribute a lot of artillery here? No, so that's the defender. We did not. Yeah, well, we did. Some assault brigades, a lot of heavy. I do not get why we are so weak at attacking these positions. It's such a shame. Okay, I don't want to do another attack. Let's rest our troops up a little bit at least, and try to push up again next time around. 44 anti-tank guns too, so that's going to be tough. 42 elephants over here. Interesting. They've got really strong anti-tank defenses. Now, what I potentially want to push, what potentially would like to push though, is over here. Now, they do have a defensive value that's not totally negligible. On the other hand, these guys over here. Lots of panzers, lots of punters. Quite a bit of infantry too. Anti-tank guns too. It's going to be a tough fight, but I do think we need to shorten the line at least a little bit. Or expand our head. Yeah. Okay, let's get the guards armored into the front line here. Then you two, supported by that infantry division, are going to strike at these guys. Some reserves are being committed over here. That's good. And we are getting them to retreat comfortably, actually. So that's lovely to see. Also, their level 3 fortifications have just collapsed. And they pretty much... They look a lot weaker than they did just a second ago. That's very interesting. That almost is tempting to try to create a breakthrough here. Right, okay, let's try to be somewhat creative over here. So what have we got over here? We've got from the Canadian side, we've got, I think, a single tank division, don't we? Or two? One tank division, one armoured brigade. Is that it? I thought we had one more tank division. Oh yeah, but it's still in England. You know what? Let's still try to push it forward. Yes, let's use it with this infantry division. I don't want to use the airborne corps. I do want to use the airborne corps. Hasty attack over here. A lot of reserves are being committed. They are being pushed out. Lovely. I don't think it's viable. But it just might be. It just might be. Good. Oh man, guys, I'm excited now. Good. Okay, let's see what we can do over on this part, because this is a very strong formation. This is the Panzerlehr division. This is one of the strongest German panzer divisions that they had on the Western Front, and this is the 21st. I think we've slightly weakened that one, but this is still very, very tempting. Okay, so if you guys could potentially strike them over there, let's try to do that with these two guys, right? Is that enough? Is that enough? I don't know. Well, the airborne corps here is too weak right now. We potentially need to adjust that to someone down here. We've got these Canadians too. So that's alright. Can we attack here though? Do we have any reserves here in terms of infantry divisions? You guys, I think I want to keep you right where you are. Now the Poles, I would love to advance you. That pretty much means we've no infantry to cover that hex. So no to that one. Well, we could move the... You know what? Let's move the airborne over here. You're behind a river anyway, so I think you're going to be alright there. That does allow us to move the Poles forward. That does allow us to take these three guys, attack this tank division, scatter them a little bit. Nice. Good. Like it. Move forward our two tanks. Move forward our single tank. Good. You guys could be pushed forward too. We could push forward some of these lighter forces. That's going to be alright. We do have this tank division here. And we do need to capture at least 2 hexes and close that gap. So what can we actually put into that gap? Now, the 7th Corps over here. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Good. Yeah, let's grab you guys. Or you guys. You're slightly stronger, but you can't get over here. No, you could. Good. Okay, so you are on the gap now. Good, good, good. And that pretty much means that you guys, we could try to attack into this position. But do we have enough to follow up there? It's a Luftwaffe field division. These guys do look very weak. And do we have anything to come into this hex if we do push them out? We've actually very weak forces over here. So would it be wiser to try to attack these guys and just limit our forces? You can't support an attack. You guys can advance here. What else have we got? We've got this Canadian Armoured Brigade. You could at least move through, right? Is that going to be good enough? Okay, let's use the Canadian Armour. Let's use you two. Try to push you away. Hasty attack, that's going to be, has to be good enough. And you can't advance any further. Now the infantry, the tank division could. Oh, this is exciting. The armored brigade could. Let's do move them up. And this Canadian armored brigade could. I think that just might be enough. Okay, let's move the tank division forward. The armored brigade is gonna... Oh, how about you? Oh, you could go into that gap too. Well, that's lovely, isn't it? Can't really move down here, though. So what else can we move all the way over there? Where's the Canadian Armoured Brigade? I know it's somewhere. There we go. Good. You guys over here, fine. And the infantry division, you guys are also going to make sure that we are not losing that gap over there. Good. I like it. I like it. Good. So we have enough forces over here that I feel confident that we can do a hasty attack and potentially push them back. Yes. Good. We didn't even lose that much. Nice. So that then does back the question. We've got a brigade, a cavalry group, and an armoured division. Now, the cavalry group really isn't strong enough to hold. We've got 2 divisions over here. That should be enough to hold. We've got a lot of divisions over here, actually. Can you move into there? No. Sort of nowhere, actually. Right. You guys can't get far. You guys can't get far. Okay, what we can do, though, is move the guard division over here. Move the... You guys over there. And you guys can close the gap. Lovely. I like it. Guys, just... I did not expect that. I did not expect that when starting the series. And apologies for the long episode here. But I'm very, very happy about that. That's really lovely. And I think all of these positions are pretty strong. I mean, this is 2 divisions over here. This is a single division. No, yeah, these guys might actually be the weakest link that we've got. That's... Yeah, we can actually shore you up with another brigade over here. This is a single division. Also kind of weak, but all things considering, I mean, they're definitely going to try to break out. So do we move up the armoured brigade over here? Can we move up the cavalry? These would be lovely to move up, actually. There's another division over here. You guys, you're ready over there, but pretty much no from my side. You guys can't... Well, you could move into here, but you guys can't move up. It's unfortunate. I don't think we can reduce the pressure on any of these points, where we could actually try to tackle these guys. That might be enough to push them out and reduce their ability to flank us. Although I think the bigger question will be in the south. Now let's try to do that. Just barely. Did lose a lot of our combat ability there. And we can't advance into that hex, unfortunately. Well, we could with you. We could with you, and you guys can take their place. So that's lovely. Good. I like it. I like it. Yeah. So we've now some reserve potential over here. You guys are the Canadian Armoured Corps. I can unfortunately not really move you up towards them. Can only get you over here. You're this corps, you're sort of like a little bit limited as well. That's okay. You guys are guarding all of them. That's okay too. And these Canadians are fine as well. Good. Yeah, fantastic. Good encirclement over here. And do you know what, guys? We didn't capture the harbour. We didn't capture the harbour. But that's huge. I mean, that is just... What have we got over here in total? We've got a panzer division, an infantry division, a third of an infantry division. And over here we've got an infantry division, a Fallschirmjäger division, and a panzer division. That's huge. That's 5 and a third division. If we can keep that. If we can keep that, that is. We'll have to see. That being said, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Do let me know your thoughts. Are we overextending here? I don't know. I'm going to move up some of these units here in between episodes, and then you guys can rejoin me before the German turn, because I'm really intrigued to see how that is going to play out. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.